I got to remember that, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Roy was the chief of staff for Ted Cruz when they urged us into that shutdown in 13, and that went so well. So I think here in 13, 18, 19, we've had these shutdowns. They haven't accomplished a hell of a lot. And when people tell me that they want to just shut the country down, all right, I'll walk with you a little bit, but tell me what the end result is. Tell me how you're going to change the outcome here.
How are you going to convince them of what you're saying, though? These are your fellow Republicans.
Take my bill just for a second. Sure, take my bill, if you will, Homeland Security. All the things that they're asking for in H.R. 2, we're funding in our bill. But that doesn't get you on TV every day, and that kind of rhetoric is good for winding up the crowds in your hometown. But as far as making our government function and making it work for the American people, it doesn't make any sense.
I wonder who that Democrat is attacking my boy Chip. Joining me now, Congressman Chip Roy from the great state of Texas. Hey, Chip, who was that Democrat taking shots at you on TV?
Hey, Jesse, good to see you, brother. Well, it's one of my fellow Republicans. Look, we just flat disagree on this. Yeah, this is not a close call. Yeah, I was there with Ted Cruz in 2013. Jesse, you remember that. You're a big friend and fan of Ted Cruz. And look, you know what the result was in 2014? Republicans did quite well. And we gained 13 seats, raised the House number up to 247. Why? Because we fought for something. And Republicans ran last year on actually fighting for something. And unfortunately, most of my Republican colleagues don't seem willing to honor that commitment, to end up trying to produce a result rather than just passing bills that are going to die in the Senate. That's the whole point here. With all due respect to my colleague, yes, he and others, in part due to the deal we were worked out in January to have more conservatives on the Appropriations Committee, we now have a Homeland Appropriations bill that does move the needle in the right direction. But it's not enough. We need to make sure that whatever we're doing is actually going to stop the flow at the border. And passing appropriations bills that are going to die in the Senate is not going to do that. That's our point. We have no interest in funding Alejandro Mayorkas to continue to screw over the people of Texas, endanger us, endanger people to die from fentanyl, allow terrorists to come into our country, allow ammo to be found along the border, as you've seen reporting in the last week, and importantly, to have people getting sold into the sex trafficking trade. No longer, not on our watch. Texas has spent $10 billion. It's time for this to end, and that's what this is about.
Chip, can you explain where we're at in this appropriations process? You've already told us we have this appropriations process going on right now. We have to figure out what we fund, what we don't fund. I know we're not going to get everything we want. I'm not an idiot. But I also understand, hopefully we can get something. What are we trying to get, and what are our odds to get it?
Yeah, I mean, look, our odds are wholly dependent on whether Republicans will fight. And don't laugh, because I know what your response is going to be on that. You have rightfully been raising questions and mocking the Republicans who go out and complain about the Department of Justice, but yet are almost certain to fund that Department of Justice in about 3 weeks. That's the point. So I just want everybody out there to understand. Last December, Republicans, 17 Republican senators, joined forces with the Pelosi Democrats to jam through an omnibus bill that virtually every House Republican opposed and that the American people opposed. And what the question is going to be on September 30th is, are we going to rubber stamp a continuing resolution that is a bill that will keep government funded at last year's levels? Are we going to maintain that status quo? If we do, then we're maintaining the funding and the priorities of the Biden administration and at the grossly high level from last December. Our position is that we should not do that. We should limit those funds and or get massive policy changes, starting first with the border and ensuring that we actually change what's happening at the border with respect to the assault on Texas and endangering our country, but also dealing with things like the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense and its wokeness. And frankly, I'm just going to be blunt, Jesse. I'm saying to my Republican leadership, pick a damn fight, any fight. Just give me a fight so that we can actually go stand up and say it's a fight that we're going to stand up and fight for. I think it ought to be the border, maybe a few of those other provisions. But, you tell me, should we fund the ATF to go after American citizens with pistol braces or universal background checks? Should we fund the Department of Justice to target Scott Smith and Mark Houck and former President Trump? Should we fund Alejandro Mayorkas to allow cartels to own our border, send people in, send fentanyl in, allow our kids to die? Should we continue to fund a DOD that's funding all sorts of woke programs and funding abortion tourism and transgender surgeries? You tell me. I don't think my constituents want me to take their tax dollars and fund that garbage. That's what the fight is about.
Chip, what's going on at the Marine Corps University? My goodness, what is happening to my beloved Marine Corps?
Well, it's pretty sad, actually. You might know there's something called the Krulak Center, right? Which was named after Brute Krulak, and Marines will understand that. And they've got a program there that is now gone all entirely woke, and it has some private funding, but it also has government funding. And I'm looking down because I can't remember the exact wording. Here's the kind of stuff they were promoting there. We dug a little bit after a tweet, and they actually fired back to defend themselves, doubling down on their wokeness. What we found is a program with a breakdown that says the following, quote, what is gender and how is it different from biological sex? How are war narratives constructed through gender discourse? How can we imagine nonviolent masculinities? I don't even know what that means, Jesse. How can we imagine nonviolent masculinities and the role they might play in conflict? How might the United States Marine Corps strategic narrative be problematic for WPS? I think that's the women's program or whatever. Look, that's the kind of stuff being foisted upon our Marines. And you want to know why recruiting is at all-time lows? Why morale is at a low? We watched what happened in Afghanistan. We tuck tail and run, leave $85 billion of crap there. And now General Milley and all of these secretaries, Secretary Austin and all the secretaries of the Army, of the Navy, of the Marines and so forth, they are all getting mad at Congress because we dare say, wait a minute, you guys are funding woke garbage and that's harming recruiting and harming the military. So they want to blame us for highlighting what they're doing and then complain about it. That's what's going on in the United States military today.
Congressman, how much faith, last question, I'll leave you with this. How much faith do you have that we will get Republican leadership, who matters so much when it comes to these fights, to stand for something this time? Again, I'm not naive. I know the Democrats are going to get most of what they want. Are we going to get some kind of stance from our leadership?
I can promise you that there is a large and growing block of us that are going to demand that we fight and win change for the American people, or we're not going to be able to support this leadership or the status quo. Now, look, you've said it. I don't expect to get every single thing I want. I understand the tough vote that we have. Look, let's also remember, we've got one of our Republicans retiring. We have Steve Scalise, God bless him. Let's all pray for him. He's battling cancer, myeloma. Steve's going to be in and out of treatment. I understand how difficult this is. I'm not saying it's my way or the highway. What I'm saying is, damn it, stand up and fight. Pick a fight. Let's go to the American people and let's win it. I've never seen an administration more at war with its own people than what I'm seeing out of this administration, and specifically at war with the people of Texas that I represent. And for all of these hand-wringing Republicans who go, oh my God, we're going to have a shutdown. Oh, that didn't work out very well in 2013. That's garbage. Yes, it did. We won seats afterwards. The American people followed us. They were believing in Senator Cruz. There's a reason Senator Cruz did very well in the 2016 presidential election, came in a strong second. It's because he fought. Name one thing you're proud of your Republican majorities doing in the last 30 years. In my lifetime, I can't remember a damn thing that Republican leadership and Republican majorities have ever given the American people. Nothing. They talk about welfare reform. They talk about tax cuts for, corporations. Come on. Like, when have they stood up and fought for you or me? Okay? And that's what we need to do.
Yeah. And that's a sad reality. Chip, thank you, sir. I know you got to run. Appreciate you.
All right. God bless, Jesse.
I have great news. If you enjoyed that, I have a YouTube channel you can subscribe to. Whatever I do, it'll be right there on YouTube. So go subscribe today.